Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be talking about our upcoming pattern for late December into early January and what my concerns are and what we can see out this upcoming pattern. Plus, I do have a little announcement at the end of the video as well, so stay tuned for that little announcement as well. We're Oh yeah, before I get started with this video, I almost forgot. If you do like weather related content, you can always subscribe to my channel. I do stuff like this all the time. So if you do like weather related content, you can always hit the subscribe button on my channel. And again, I do this stuff all the time. So since I got that out of the way, let's go and get started with the GFS Ensembles model here. And currently, what pattern we're in, we got a negative NAO over Greenland. You see there you got ridging over Greenland. We also got ridging over the Northern Pacific and Alaska as well. That's helping to push a lot of this colder air into the western U.S., which we currently have a negative PNA. It looks like that's going to stay there for a while, unfortunately. And this is a pretty classic La Nina setup here, ridging across the southeast and troughing across the western, even for parts of the northern U.S. as well. So pretty classic La Nina setup we got going on here. And as we kind of continue on, you can see here when we kind of go into late December into early January. So this is from December the 27th to January 1st. You got a ridge of high pressure that could be setting up nearby South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. That's your southeast ridge. And you can kind of see how this trough here kind of expands a little further to the east as well. Now kind of expanding into the northern U.S. And with a setup like this, your average low pressure system track would kind of go down to Florida, down to the desert southwest, and then they kind of go through the southern plains, eventually up into the Midwest. So that's kind of your average low track. So the desert southwest can see quite a bit of precipitation out of this, which is certainly a good thing. We do need some rain down here. Also, we may have a chance to dry out a little bit in the northwestern U.S. as well. We may bring down the precipitation levels down some, at least enough where we can at least dry out a little bit. But it will be very cold. Keep in mind that it'll be very cold. We'll check out those temperature anomalies in just a moment. But what concerns me with a pattern like this is that this can lead to some flash flooding and it can unfortunately lead to some more severe weather. With your low track something like this here, you can see some snow on the backside of some of these systems here. So there could be a winter storm threat on the backside of some of these lows here. And with the southeast ridge in place, it's going to bring in a lot of moisture, especially from the Gulf of Mexico here. So you got moisture coming up from here, but not only you're getting moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, you're also getting moisture pulled up from the Eastern Pacific as well. What this is going to lead to when these kind of come together is high moisture content in the upper levels in the atmosphere. And what's going to let these showers and storms develop is this active low pressure system track to the northwest here. And this also sets up the stage for a pretty unstable atmosphere. You got milder temperatures, and you got elevated dew point values. We got well above normal sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. Right out of the Eastern Pacific, it's not as bad as the Gulf of Mexico, but it's still slightly warmer than average. So this is a really good moisture supply. And then again, with a setup like this can lead to some flash flooding issues, especially in the Ohio Valley region as well. And this is where we can see a lot of rain. And here in Kentucky, we do not need any more rain. We do not need any more rain. We really want some drier weather, but unfortunately, they may not be the case with a setup like this. And you can see how that pretty much stays almost persistent here. And when we get closer to mid-January, it seems like the ridge may have moved a little further to the west. But you also do notice here, there is some troughing that kind of comes into play across the northeast as well. So you guys may be able to see some colder weather up there as well. But a lot of the colder air will still be locked up in the western, even for parts of the northern U.S. as well. And it's going to keep things warm across the south and southeast. You can see here how pretty much that same pattern really continues as you get closer into mid-January. But let's check out them temperature anomalies. So this is all based off a 5-day average, and you can see here, check all this cold air that's stuck in Alberta and British Columbia. That's some serious cold air. At the same time, you got very mild temperatures across the south and southeast. Really, the only areas that's cooler is the northern plains, the western U.S., and for parts of the New England states as well is also a little bit cooler. The good news with this here is that this milder air is going to be pushed further to the southeast, so the central U.S. will actually have a chance to cool down. And this is where things do get very interesting here. So this is for days 6 through 10. You got a lot of cold air across the central and northern plains in the western U.S. And you can certainly tell here where your low pressure system track is going to be. Right in between the warmer and colder airs where your low pressure system track is going to be. It's going to be right through here. And you got a lot of milder air just to the south of that low track. And that can set up the stage for future severe weather setups as well with that milder air that's going to be down there. Especially when you got a pool of some very cold air. You got two extremes here. You got winter and you got almost summertime in the southeast at the same time here in the country. And that's pretty insane here. That's quite a contrast of two different seasons there. And you can see here how that cold air does slowly expand a little further south and east over time as well. Hopefully that can come in quicker because here in the Ohio Valley, this is not a good setup here. This is a setup that can lead to flooding issues and the potential for severe weather as well. The severe weather threat can cover really pretty much the entire Dixie Valley region up into parts of Mississippi River Valley and the Ohio Valley as well. So it's going to be happening over a pretty large region. This area here, and I'm circling in red here, is the areas we need to focus on for that potential severe weather risk over the next several days here. Now the models are not very clear with some of these lows here. That's why I'm not really showing you guys much of the way of the surface analysis there of these lows here from different models because there's not really been a really good consistency this far out. But what they do have in common here is a lot of these systems here moving over some of the same areas in here. That's what they do have in common. And that's what you certainly call inactive pattern here. If you check out the precipitation anomalies here, check out that little area there of above normal precipitation across the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley. That's an area we're focused on for the potential with a combination of some severe weather and flooding issues as well. And at around the same time, the Northwest will have a chance to actually calm down a little bit. It'll be very cold, but you guys have a chance to dry out. You guys actually do not need any more rain. But really for the next 7 days, though, it's still going to be very active across the western U.S., especially in the Sierra Mountains. We're expecting a lot of snow up there over the next several days. And you can see here is when we get into early January, the desert Southwest will actually have a chance to get some precipitation. So that's some good news for the western U.S. with a pattern like this. It's just the parts of the eastern U.S., this is going to cause some issues for us out here in the eastern U.S. But then again, this is a pretty classic La Nina setup here. Wet in the Ohio Valley, usually cooler and wetter across the western U.S. It's also cooler across the northern U.S. And you got that southeast ridge. So it's a pretty classic La Nina setup that we got going on here. And then, by the way, we're actually at the peak of the La Nina in Enzo. So things the La Nina may back off over the next couple months here. So then again, the La Nina may have reached its peak now. So let's check out the European ensembles, and it's going to be pretty similar here to the GFS ensembles. Doesn't go as far out as the GFS ensembles here, but what shows something a little bit different is that when we get into around New Year's, that trough does expand. It actually covers most of the northern U.S., which is interesting. That will give the Northeast a chance to see cooler temperatures out here a little bit earlier than what the GFS ensembles does show. But it still has that southeast ridge down here, but also has that very similar active low pressure system track here moving across some of the same areas. On the backside of low, you'll be, if you're a snow lover, If you're on the back side here of this active low track, hey, you might be able to see quite a bit of snow out of this setup. So it'll be very interesting here. But if you're on the south side of this red line, you'll probably see some issues down here, especially when you get in this region over here. Texas and Oklahoma may stay on the drier side of things. They may get some luck out of it, but they do need some rain down there too as well. But European almost is a little bit similar here, but it does bring that cooler air to the eastern U.S. a little bit earlier than the GFS ensembles does. This does not have everything that GFS almost has, so we have to go straight to the CFS. So the CFS model, pretty similar to the other ones, got a lot of ridging across the southern U.S., big time troughing across the northwestern United States, lots of ridging across the northern Pacific and Greenland. And here's dates 8 through 14. It's actually a little bit similar to the European ensembles. It's bringing that troughing air to the northeastern U.S. a little bit early. But still, I do not really like the setup here, especially when lows kind of go from west to east. You can see multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms, and some of those can be strong and severe with some of these lows here, depending on how the shortwave troughs are going to be. But then again, it's certainly going to be a big concern for the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley as well. And then again, on the back side of this low track here, hey, you may get lucky. You may get to see quite a bit of snow out of this. But either way here, all these systems here are going to have moisture, plenty of moisture with it. And like I said earlier in the video, Southeast Ridge, you're getting moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, but you're also getting moisture from the Eastern Pacific as well. So you're going to see a lot of moisture in the atmosphere here. So this is certainly going to be a very interesting setup to watch here. And it looks like it does. Things like the Southeast Ridge may build back up when we get closer to mid-January, but we'll see how that goes. Here's your 2-meter temperature anomalies, and for some reason, it doesn't have 6Z. So we have to go back to 0Z, but it's very similar anyway. But you can see here for days 1 through 7, very cold air over British Columbia and Alberta. That is some nasty cold up there. Across the southern and parts of eastern U.S., it's almost like spring or summertime for some places. And then when you move into days 8 through 14, now I think this is too warm for the four corner states. I think it's going to be colder than what it shows here. I think it has the ridge placement a little too far to the west here. I think it's going to be more focused a little further to the east. But either way, it still shows quite a bit of cold across the parts of the northern U.S., in the north and the western U.S. as well. If you check out precipitation anomalies here, it's been backing off a little bit with those precipitation anomalies, which honestly I have to disagree with that. But then again, it's a little further west with the southeast ridge. I think it's going to be a little further east. But if you go back to days 1 through 7, though, it's a little bit more closer to what the other models do suggest. But I think I'm going to follow along with the GFS ensembles for now. I think the CFS may be a little bit of an outlier at this time here. But either way, I'm kind of hoping for the solution here, though. Maybe backing off those precipitation anomalies. But unfortunately, I think that's an outlier at this point. And like I was mentioning here with those sea surface temperature anomalies, here's what's going on right now. Now with that big ridge over Alaska, this pool here cooler water may actually start to fade away. Hopefully that's the case here, because that can lead to a colder winter, maybe for the eastern U.S. at that point here. This has also been kind of a leading factor here with a combination of the La Nina and with this negative PDO. It's been leading to some active severe weather in the United States here. You had that big time derecho in the Midwest, and you had this historic tornado outbreak in parts of the Mississippi River Valley and the Ohio Valley as well. And this is what's been the leading cause there to these severe weather events, is this negative PDO and this La Nina as well. With the combination of two, on average, it does lead to some active weather, or more active severe weather. And like I said, the Gulf of Mexico is very warm. Check out the above normal sea surface temperature anomalies. In the Eastern Pacific, it is a little bit warmer, but it's not as bad as the Gulf of Mexico. But either way, you got pretty good. I mean, this is pretty favorable for a good amount of moisture to be transported up into the United States here as well. Now, talk about the heavy rainfall threat. Now, this is just a GFS model here. This could change here, but this kind of gives you an idea of what could happen here. What could happen. But you can certainly see here, check out the Ohio Valley region. Look at all that rain that's showing here. Now, this is a max run here, 384 hours. Do not take this too seriously, but this kind of gives you an idea of how active the pattern can be with these multiple low pressure systems here moving over some of the same areas. On this just to the south end of the low, it's going to bring in a lot of rain. I mean, check out them rainfall totals. You got a widespread area of 6 to 8 inches of rain with some places up to a foot of rain. And it's not been very consistent, but it's been showing every couple of runs or so. So there has been some consistency, some, not much, but there's been some consistency with it. If you check out the GFS ensembles, which this is a little bit more of an accurate way to take a look at it, even just by looking to the GFS ensembles, it still shows a decent amount of rain out there. And this is a mean of 20 members, and it's got a large area, 34 inches of rain across Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, which has been very consistent with that area as well, with those very similar rainfall amounts as well. It's been very consistent. If you check out about individual runs here, you can see here, some of them do show very high amounts, some of them a little bit lower end amounts, but either way, most of them do show quite a bit of rain for the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley as well. And if you're interested with the snowfall accumulations, this is the mean here. It's been trending a little further south here with those slightly higher snowfall totals, but you can see here, western U.S. likely to stay very active there. With those white colors, that's at least 40 inches of snow, and it's got some places over 100 inches of snow across the Sierra Mountains in California, which is an insane amount of snow, which is something they do need, though. We're going to need that snow in those Sierra Mountains, but generally speaking, the western U.S. is going to stay active either way. But even looking to the northern U.S., it actually does have indication for some snow across the northern U.S. as well. Hopefully, does all this trends further south here because here in the Ohio Valley, we do not need this. We do not need the rain or the severe weather. We can take some, rather take some snow than rain, a lot of rain and severe weather. So hopefully things do trend towards a colder pattern, which that can be the case here as we get to January here. Things been trending towards maybe a little bit to a colder pattern. Like I show you guys on the temperature anomalies towards the end of the model run. It did show some colder anomalies across parts of the eastern U.S. So hopefully that'll be the case. Fingers crossed on that. Hopefully we can see that. Here's a European model here. This is the control run here, and pretty similar situation. A lot of rain for the Ohio Valley, even down to Dixie Alley as well. You got widespread area of anywhere from 2 to 4 inches rain, which is a decent amount of rain. And most of this here will be happening in late December to early January. So it'll be interesting here where we can get a little bit more of early January in view. We can probably get a little bit more of an accurate idea from the European model and even the Canadian model as well, which here's the Canadian model. Doesn't show us much, but it still shows quite a bit of rain out there. But then again, most of this rain here is happening really after December the 27th here. Really after 27th, you can see here most rainfall amounts do go up quite a bit as well. So then again, we do need to pay attention to that flash flooding threat for those areas as well. And, you know, this is a pretty nasty setup for it as as well. Like I was saying there throughout parts of the video, severe weather, well, checking out the storm prediction or outlook here, doesn't show anything in the 4 to 8 day outlook. However, in the description though, says something a little bit different. Check out the last paragraph. Beyond day 6, this is what they say. The chances for more significant severe weather will increase beyond day 6. Most guidance suggests 70-degree dew points across the entire Gulf of Mexico by Tuesday. This anomalously high Gulf moisture content for this time of year and will set for the stage for severe weather potential. The exact magnitude of any severe weather threat would depend on evolution of the upper level and surface pattern. But with a broad warm sector in place across the southeast and Mississippi River Valley, it is more likely than not that there will be eventually a severe weather episode somewhere from the southeast into the Midwest and the Great Lakes. I mean, that's something you don't hear very often from the SPC, and they had strong words similar to this yesterday, so that's really gets to tell you here. I mean, this is a pretty nasty setup here. Either way here, either way here with these systems here coming up, there's going to be plenty of moisture and there's going to be milder temperatures. I mean, we're definitely not going to be, we'll definitely have plenty of that. It just depends on if we can get, it really depends on about the shortwave troughs that move through. A weaker one may not bring much severe weather, but a strong one can bring some severe weather. So then again, it really depends on. And the medium range guidance, it's been kind of going back and forth with some stronger systems, some of them don't. So there's not been very big consistency. But then again, either way, it still shows a very active pattern here. It's got multiple lows moving through that same track like I was showing you guys earlier for that very similar track here. And it does bring out some pretty similar results, like a lot of flooding. It does have some snow on the backside of some of these lows as well. So it'll be interesting to see here what the trends will show here over the next couple days here. Here's the temperature probability map from the Climate Prediction Center, and you can see here, I don't know if it's been a while since we've seen dark blue colors across the western U.S. That's a very high probability we're going to see below average temperatures out there as well, and that even expands to, the northern U.S. But generally across really anywhere from the southern plains across the entire southeast up into the northeast. In this time period, we're likely going to experience some milder temperatures here. Precipitation anomalies. It's certainly going to be on the wetter side in the four corner states. They do need that rain. It's very dry down there, which is good news. However, on the other side of the U.S., it's not so good news for the Ohio Valley, where you do have elevated probabilities for some above normal precipitation anomalies there as well. 8 to 14 day temperatures, things are looking a little bit different. Very similar across the western and northern U.S., likely to stay colder, but the northeast also turns a little bit cooler as well, with some chances of below average temperatures up there. However, it does stay warm across the southeast and the southern plains, and so you still have that stubborn southeast ridge in place as well. And precipitation anomalies are also very similar as well. Maybe a little bit drier across the plains, a little bit drier in Florida, but the western U.S. and most of the eastern U.S. will experience wetter than normal conditions as well. So really, it fits in pretty well what the models are suggesting as well. One thing I almost forgot to show here is the probability map here. This is for 8 to 14 days here. And here's their main outlook here. You can see here the northern plains into the northwest will likely experience much below average temperatures, really anywhere from December the 31st to January 6th. That's a pretty long period there for much below average temperatures. I mean, basically what that means there, you guys are going to experience very cold weather, some of that can be nasty cold up there as well for a long period of time. So be prepared for some very cold weather if you live in those areas in there. But if we check out where we have more probabilities showing up, you can see here and across Dixie Alley into the Ohio Valley, we have a slight risk for heavy precipitation. This tan color, that's a slight risk for high winds. These purple colors here across parts of the Rockies, you can see it goes up the Sierra Mountains as well. There's two areas. That's a slight risk for some heavy snowfall as well. And I believe that's also heavy precipitation, going up along the west coast there of California and parts of Oregon as well, having that risk there of heavy precipitation as well. So then again, pretty active period of weather is likely going to happen across a good chunk of the U.S. here over the next, mainly in late December into early January. Who knows how long this is going to last here. But either way, we're likely to experience some very active weather in that time period as well. Alright, so for my announcement video, I do have thoughts of maybe doing a Christmas stream this year. I have it planned on maybe doing Christmas night, so I do have a couple polls up here. So, do you guys think I should do a Christmas stream here? Here it is on Twitter. I do have polls. So far, the majority of people, at least on Twitter anyway, say yes. Have 9 votes in. We still got 2 more days here. You guys got till Christmas Day here before these posts here do closed here. Now on the Christmas stream, we can do some Q&A. We'll play a couple games and we'll talk about some weather and just have some fun in general. And then again, I think about doing this on Christmas night here. And I do have 4 game choices. I got Storm Chasers Reborn, that's on Roblox, Storm Chasers America Truck Simulator, and City Skylines here. Hopefully we don't see a whole lot of lag on any of these games here, depending on which one wins. And so far, we only got 4 votes in, and right now the winner for right now is Storm Chasers Reborn. So if you guys do want to vote on these posts here, I have the link in the description down below. It does lead to my profile page. You guys can vote on here if you guys do want to. I recommend voting here so we can get a good amount of people here to vote on here as well. And I really do appreciate if you guys do vote on here as well. And please have your honest opinion. I would appreciate that as well. But anyways, guys, those are for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video. Hit that like button. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you got some questions about this, put a comment section down below. I heard you guys' questions. And I see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.